Yeah, this isn't a leather called Rustic brown. It's obviously been carefully distressed at the tannery. But Blundstone have put it into what they call their dress range. G'day, welcome back to Bootlosophy. My name is Tech and I'm filming on Wajak country. This is the Blundstone 1306 model. It's part of their dress range in a makeup called Rustic Brown. They have, at this time, 5 models in their dress range. The 062 and the 063 in stout brown and black respectively. 2 shorter shafted Chelsea boots, the 1900 and the 1901, again respectively in chestnut brown and black. And then this one, the 1306 in the rustic, or as I call it, distressed brown. The common factor is not that they are dress boots. Well, some of them are actually supposed to be. But the common factor is that they have slimmer lasts. And in the 13 series, the last is an almond-shaped toe with a chisel point. There are also, commonly on them, a less chunky outsole with a smaller edge that's showing, so it's a little bit dressier. The Blundstone 1306 is, of course, a Chelsea boot. No laces, but you slip your feet in by pulling apart the opening and the elastic gussets or goring pieces, then snap back and keep your feet inside. Go check out my other videos about Chelsea boots to learn about their invention and the naming of them as Chelsea boots. But in Australia, Chelsea boots primarily have a work boot heritage. Not so much in the construction industry, although most of the builders and tradies that I use or are friends of mine or belong to a company that I partly own, they wear Blundstones and redbacks. They have a primary production history though, being worn on cattle and sheep stations and on farms. The easy on, easy off character makes it easier to slip off your muddy boots at the front door. Famous Australian brands that all do Chelseas are R.M. Williams, founded in 1932, Blundstone, founded in 1870, Ian Harold, founded in 1878, Mongrel, founded in 1930, Redback, founded in 1925, and Rossi Boots, founded in 1910. I don't wear this 1306 in the slim dress last as any kind of dress boot to work in my office, but purely as a casual boot with jeans or chinos going shopping or walking, and most usually when I go to Northern Australia to work amongst the Aboriginal communities and the businesses that they run on their lands. Let's talk about Blundstone. Blundstone boots started in 1870 in Tasmania, Australia, founded by English immigrants John and Eliza Blundstone. Initially a boot importer, the company began manufacturing locally sourced footwear for labourers in the 1870s, gaining a reputation and recognition for quality at the 1894 Hobart International Exhibition. The family-owned business weathered some economic challenges in the early 20th century, eventually being sold to the Cuthbertson family in the 1930s, and has since grown into a global brand known for durable and iconic work boots. They started making work boots in earnest in the 1950s, and in the 1960s first produced their famous 500 series Chelsea boots. In the 2000s, globalization was an economic reality, and the Australian government opened the doors to tariff-free trading, often driving out older established manufacturing businesses that found it hard to compete against cheaper-made foreign brands. Blundstone pivoted and now makes most of their boots in Vietnam. The 2010s for Blundstone also saw a big international marketing drive, and in the last couple of decades, Blundstone have expanded sales exponentially to North America, both the US and Canada, Europe, and Asia in particular. The Blunny Chelsea is ubiquitous amongst comfort-loving boot enthusiasts, fashion-forward trendsetters and influencers, and even TV and Hollywood costume designers as they appear in different TV series like the FBI and NCIS franchises, let alone those winter romantic comedies from Hallmark movies. The Blundstone 1306 is made from leather from an unspecified tannery, but local knowledge tells me that they source their leather from various countries around Australia, New Zealand, as well as Asia. The rustic brown leather is water resistant. It is infused with water resistant oils and chemicals during the tanning. I believe it's actually a type of nubuck, if you feel this, and probably, I think, technically a crazy horse, which is a full grain leather that's lightly buffed to give it a matte and slightly nappy and definitely not smooth surface. This allows it to take a lot of knocks and scratches without seriously scuffing, unlike the Blundstone 650 model, with the smooth kit leather that definitely shows up scuffs. The pattern is of basically 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. The vamp, which wraps around the whole boot mainly, but it's not a whole cut because there is an insert in the shaft to form the instep curves and then a little bit of a panel on the back inside heel. And then another piece is the backstay that's wide and protects the seam running up the back. The uppers are actually machine lasted around the sleek profiled chisel toe dress last. A weatherboard insole is inserted and then the outsole is molded on. What happens there is a tube of hot polyurethane, or PU, is squeezed like toothpaste onto a mold, and then the uppers are squeezed into the mold, making the PU squish into all the crevices, and as it cools, seals to the uppers. That forms the soft, thick PU midsole. That's this part here. Then a second tube of molten hot stuff, this time thermal polyurethane, or TPU, is squeezed onto another mold and squashed on to form the outsole pattern. And the half-finished boot is once more pressed in, and so that TPU seals itself to the PU that's already on there. That forms the hardier outsole. The combination, it's only quite thin, the combination provides for a comfortable squish from the PU and a firmer, more durable wear from the TPU outsole. One of the disadvantages of a PU sole is hydrolysis, which is a chemical reaction of the spongy PU material in absorbing water molecules. If you don't consistently wear PU sole shoes, which allows the air gaps to kind of squeeze out the water molecules regularly, that material can begin to fracture and just break apart. Blundstone have done a lot of work in the last decade or so in improving the chemical composition of both the TPU and PU materials, and there are less and less reports of this happening. In fact, on their website, they specifically say not as prone to hydrolysis. This boot does have a steel shank, which is of course inserted before the toothpaste squeezing and hot sealing commences. So in fact, arch support, up ladders and so on, is actually pretty good, and weirdly does catch you at airport security screens. The sole is grippy, but have large, what would you say, patches rather than studs or lugs. I do find it easy to wipe dirt off your feet or knock mud off the bottoms when you come in indoors. Finally, they insert a removable comfort foam insole, and some models provide two. One is a slightly orthotic shape like this one, and then there is a flat one that you can put in. Caring for this rustic brown leather is pretty simple. Make sure you clean it and brush it, of course. If it gets dirty, it will take saddle soap. As for conditioning, it depends on if you like this kind of matte crazy horse look, like an oiled nubuck. If you do, stay away from oily or overly waxy conditioners which could leave it smooth and shiny. Blundstone sell their own conditioner, and I've always used Big 4 on these, and it neither darkens the leather permanently nor slicks it up. You can, I think, try a conditioner for oily leathers from RM Williams, and I'll leave a link below. I've actually done this entire backstay and it's not left any shininess. But I suggest you do try conditioners on a small patch first, like maybe at the top of the ankle or at the top of the backstay. Okay, we're coming to the crazy bit. Blundstones, being Australian, they use the UK sizing convention. That's one number down from the US sizing convention, and they fit true to size. So if, for example, you're a US 9, true to size, do not take a half size down, but do take one number away and get a UK 8. For Americans who can't seem to get their heads around it, they size like Vibergs, which, being a Canadian company, I guess, part of the Commonwealth, seem to also use UK sizes. But I don't know. I'm not sure if you buy a pair of Blunnies in the US, when you buy one, whether they brand them with a US size, maybe they put a sticker down. Anyway, if they do, then whatever size it is, go true to size. But if you're a half size, then crazy builds up. Blundstone's half sizes are not an increase by length, they signify a wide fit. My UK size, true size, is UK 7.5. But if I buy 7.5 blunnies, they're too loose, so I wear 7s. And for my feet at least, the length is fine. I mean, you know, half size is a centimetre, if that. And these fit well. You know, a half size being less than a centimetre is just a little bit more or a little bit less room in front of your toes. So unless it's squashing the front of your toes into the front of the boot, the rest of the boot should fit fine. The fit of this last is not as good for me as the fit of my 650s with a wider toe box. It's a little bit squeezy at the balls of my feet, even though the heels, the waist and the toes are fine. The important bit is that it is in volume and width, a snug last that keeps your instep particularly and your heels particularly tucked up so that the laceless design doesn't feel floppy. As for value, these cost me less than Aussie $200 in a retail store. They are advertised on the official website for $250, but they're commonly available all over the place in Australia, and they're often around the $200 mark in retail stores. I believe in the US they also sell for $200, but in US dollars, which I suppose accounts for currency conversion, taxes and shipping and so on. But if they do sell for $200 US, I think you guys are getting a good deal compared to us, since the Australian dollar is worth about 65 US cents. Then you add the tariffs and all that on it, should be more. At 200 Aussie, they're a good deal for comfortable boots that are also durable, good looking and popular. They are great boots to have beside your couch to pull on when you have to sweep the yard or take the rubbish out. And when you're taking a long weekend break in the wine country, they cut the mustard, don't they? So there you go. I have had these boots since April 25, but I'd actually forgotten to do a review of them because they immediately became my easy pull-on, pull-off shoes for everyday use, and I forgot about them. I'd actually included them in my 12 boots in 12 weeks challenge. And they've been with me on work trips to Derby and the Kimberley, up the Gibb River Road communities there, and also to Darwin and Arnhem Land. But here they are at last. And in a while, I'll do a comparison between these and the original range 650s. If you like this video, do me a favor and show me your appreciation by commenting and liking. And if you're not subbed, of course, please consider clicking on subscriptions as well. In the meantime, I'll sign off here, and I'll have a video up next week, so I expect to see you there. Take care out there.